Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. In the last episode, I went over anabolic steroids and how I don't recommend you take them to improve your performance. Today's episode is going to focus on the performance-enhancing drugs that you should be taking. I believe in a minimalistic approach to everything, and so there are only 2 drugs I religiously ensure I consume to keep me operating at my best. Both of these drugs are legal, cheap, and easily accessible, and have a net positive effect to your health, provided you don't overdose. Performance-enhancing drug number 1, caffeine. Caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant, acting as a competitive antagonist of the adenosine A1 receptors in the brain. Adenosine is responsible for slowing down the central nervous system, so when caffeine blocks this compound at the receptor site, your brain doesn't get the message that tells it to slow down as you fatigue. Additionally, when caffeine binds to these receptors, it transmits its own message, which is to enhance the release of the neurotransmitters dopamine and acetylcholine, which both have benefits to the brain and muscles. Dopamine binds to the dopamine receptors and increases drive and motivation. It also enhances cognitive control of behaviour, facilitating the attainment of chosen goals. Acetylcholine binds to the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors in the brain, increasing drive, motivation, attention, memory, alertness, reaction time, and other higher order thinking skills. Acetylcholine also binds to the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors found on skeletal muscle, which is responsible for muscular contraction. Increases in acetylcholine at these receptor sites means your muscles will contract more effectively, which means that caffeine makes you physically stronger. Additionally, caffeine is metabolized into 3 other compounds that have positive effects on the brain. Theobromine, which increases the flow of oxygen and nutrients to the brain. Paraxanthin, which increases athletic performance by increasing lipolysis to fuel muscle activity. And theophylline, which increases heart rate and your ability to concentrate. There are several ways you can ingest your caffeine. Number 1, coffee. 1 standard cup of coffee contains between 80 to 100 milligrams of caffeine. It's also a beverage with a myriad of other health benefits, containing over 1,000 compounds, and for most of us is our greatest source of antioxidants. Consumption of coffee correlates with decreased rates of Alzheimer's disease, dementia, cardiovascular disease, strokes, diabetes, obesity, and cancer. Your prescription for health is anything between 3 to 4 cups per day. The latest research indicates that this is the sweet spot because it provides the largest benefit for all-cause mortality. Unfortunately, coffee does have a drawback. Coffee is a seed, and the coffee bean will release plant defense chemicals when it's under attack. In fact, caffeine is actually one of the insecticides that the plant releases to kill off insects feeding on the young flush and beans. Its effects on humans aren't too bad, and most of them occur when you consume too much. It's well known that excess consumption can upset your stomach, but its main drawbacks are around nutrient absorption. Coffee interferes with the metabolism of vitamin B1, so be sure to consume an adequate amount of this in your diet if you consume lots of coffee. The polyphenols in coffee also reduce the bioavailability of iron, so make sure you are consuming adequate amounts of red meat. Personally, the documented benefits far outweigh the negatives, but this is something that must be evaluated by you. If this is a problem for you, there are other ways in which you can consume your caffeine. Number 2, tea. Tea is the most consumed beverage throughout the world, and it's very similar to coffee in its effects, albeit with a little less intensity. This is because 1 cup of black tea contains about 20 milligrams of caffeine, with 1 cup of green tea containing about 40 milligrams of caffeine, compared to 80 to 100 milligrams of caffeine from coffee. If tea is your preferred delivery method, then make sure you are consuming loose leaf tea or tea bags made from 100% cotton, because studies have shown that steeping a single plastic tea bag at a brewing temperature of 95 degrees releases approximately 11.6 billion microplastics and 3.1 billion nanoplastics per beverage. Number 3, caffeine tablets or gum. This is by far the most effective way to consume your caffeine. Quick, easy, and requires no preparation. Just pop a pill or a gum and off you go. I prefer the gum because it hits the bloodstream in under 5 minutes. This is much quicker than the 30 minutes it takes for anything ingested orally. Its fast absorption rate is due to the sublingual route of administration, which is rapidly absorbed by the membranes in your cheeks and under the tongue. You can also achieve a fast absorption rate with the tablets by letting them dissolve under your tongue rather than ingesting them. These fast-acting supplements will give you all the positive effects of caffeine without the plant defense chemicals found in tea and coffee. Some of these tablets or gums also come bundled with additional supplements such as guarana, taurine, and B vitamins, which will also give you additional hits of energy. Number 4, caffeinated beverages. Caffeinated beverages such as sodas, energy drinks, and pre-workout supplements are another method of obtaining this performance-enhancing drug. Unfortunately, these consumer products contain an abundance of other strange chemicals made in a lab and are not healthy for you over the long term. Number 5, chocolate. Chocolate is made from the fermented seeds of the fruit of the cacao tree. 50 grams of 100% dark chocolate contains about 100 milligrams of caffeine. Personally, I prefer to get my caffeine from other sources because I can only have a small amount of chocolate at a time. Less intense dark chocolate will be less bitter and you can consume more, but it will have less caffeine and more processed bullshit. And because of this, I only recommend 100% dark chocolate or nothing. Number 6. Guarana. The guarana plant makes seeds which are similar to the coffee bean, but contain about twice the concentration of caffeine. This form of caffeine isn't widely available yet, so the best way that you can get your guarana is via a tablet, which you can get from your local chemist, supplement store, or drugstore. Personally, I run doses of caffeine pretty high, usually between 500 to 800 milligrams per day from coffee, gum, and tablets. I experience side effects when I go beyond this dose, and they include insomnia, but this can be controlled by not consuming coffee within 6 hours of bed. Caffeine has a half-life of approximately 3 to 8 hours depending on the individual, their body weight, and how fast the body metabolizes it. This means that if you take it too late in the day, it can disturb your sleep. If you find that high consumption of caffeine consumed before 6 p.m. is disturbing your sleep, then you might be one of the individuals that takes approximately 8 hours to metabolize caffeine. If you are this individual, then you should strive to implement a caffeine curfew of 2 p.m. Electrolyte imbalances. Caffeine is a slight diuretic, which means that it can dehydrate you. Caffeine also depletes minerals such as sodium, potassium, and calcium, meaning that excess consumption could result in muscle weakness, cramps, and twitches, especially in the eyes. Ensure adequate water consumption and salt your food generously to balance out the deficiencies. Performance-enhancing drug number 2, nicotine. Nicotine is a stimulant that acts as an agonist of the nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, and its effects on the brain are profound. Like caffeine, nicotine increases the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine, which will increase your drive and motivation. It also triggers the release of other chemicals that result in a further increase in dopamine levels, giving you a massive surge in motivation. These actions are largely responsible for the strongly reinforcing and addictive effects of nicotine. Personally, I've not found nicotine to be addictive when consumed in supplemental form. Nicotine also triggers the release of acetylcholine, making your neuronal circuits more active, enhancing focus and memory. In addition, nicotine increases alertness by telling the brain to trigger the adrenals to release epinephrine and norepinephrine, elevating heart rate, metabolism, and energy, while at the same time suppressing appetite, making it one of the most effective weight loss drugs. Note that even though acetylcholine released from caffeine increases muscular contraction, nicotine has the opposite effect, relaxing skeletal muscles. This makes nicotine an excellent drug to keeping you relaxed while increasing alertness, but it's counterproductive to increasing athletic performance. By far, nicotine's best benefit is its effect on endogenous total and free testosterone levels. In a study that compared 3,427 male smokers and non-smokers, smokers were found to have on average a 15% higher total testosterone level and a 13% higher free testosterone level. And the more the smokers smoked, the higher their testosterone levels. Note that this is only a correlational study, and it's hard to prove causal inferences. It may be that people who have higher testosterone levels tend to take more risks, which includes smoking. So of course, when I read this, I had to perform the experiment on myself. On the left are my endogenous testosterone levels from 6 blood tests done between 2019 and 2022. As you can see, I have pretty consistent and healthy endogenous testosterone levels averaging 28.1 nanomoles per litre with a standard deviation of 1.4 nanomoles per litre. And my free testosterone levels average 349 picomoles per litre with a standard deviation of 14 picomoles per litre. I started supplementing with 12 milligrams of nicotine daily in April 2023 and then waited 3 months to test the results of my nicotine experiment. My testosterone levels soared to an average of 35.7 nanomoles per litre with a standard deviation of 0.5 nanomoles per litre, and my free testosterone levels averaged 465 picomoles per litre with a standard deviation of 2 picomoles per litre. That's a boost of 27% to my total testosterone and 33% to my free testosterone. High testosterone levels will result in increased lean body mass, energy, strength, a sense of well-being, and libido, as well as faster muscle recovery, making nicotine one of the most potent legal testosterone boosters. Nicotine is well known as the addictive ingredient in tobacco, but you should not get your nicotine via this delivery method because the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies tobacco as a type 1 carcinogen, meaning it causes cancer in humans. More than 5,300 compounds have been identified in secondhand tobacco smoke, and over 70 of these chemicals are known to cause cancer, but nicotine is not one of them. Other than tobacco, nicotine is also present in small amounts in nightshades such as tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, and bell peppers, but these contain too little nicotine to have an effect. The only suitable methods of delivery of nicotine that I recommend are the various products designed to help people quit smoking, such as gums, inhalators, lozenges, mouth sprays, patches, pouches, and nasal sprays. The effects of nicotine will be felt in about 2 to 15 minutes, depending on the product you are using, and the effects can last between 30 to 45 minutes. Using the patches will result in a prolonged release of up to 16 hours. Like caffeine, I also run very high doses of nicotine. 20 milligrams per day is about as high as I can tolerate before I experience bad side effects, and the doses must be spread out evenly. My first experience with nicotine was with the gum. I read that the average cigarette contains about 12 milligrams of nicotine, with the stronger ones being about 20 milligrams. So I popped 3 4-milligram nicotine gums and chewed them until the flavour expired, and in about 20 minutes, I was vomiting all over the place. I wasn't aware that only 10% of the nicotine in a cigarette is absorbed, whereas this number is much higher with the sublingual route of administration. I also wasn't aware that nicotine gum is not to be chewed like regular gum. Instead, it follows a chew and park protocol. The gum is chewed slowly until a peppery taste or tingling sensation can be felt in the mouth, and the gum is parked between the gums and the inside of the cheek until the tingling subsides. Luckily, the half-life of nicotine is between 1 to 2 hours, so I stopped vomiting in about 45 minutes. Now I consume 1 4-milligram gum every 2 hours to ensure I remain below the toxic threshold. Nicotine is classified as a poison, and common side effects of overdose are dizziness, lightheadedness, headache, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Despite this, I don't think nicotine is dangerous if it's used responsibly, and I think it's an essential weapon in your arsenal if you want to become the strongest possible version of yourself. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 127, I'll be discussing why men and women will never be and should never be equal. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.